The Netherlands is one of the most popular countries in Europe. So much so that people from many parts of the world desire to go to the Netherlands to live or vacation. The Netherlands, which has an area that can be considered small in terms of surface area, covers only 41,400 kilometers. The population in the Netherlands covers approximately 18 million people. Their capital is Amsterdam, and in this sense, it is one of the leading cities in the world. Because when you say the Netherlands, Amsterdam comes to mind first. Life in the Netherlands is centered in Amsterdam, and those who go there never return without seeing Amsterdam. The Netherlands borders the North Sea to the north and west, Belgium to the south, and Germany to the east. Those living in the Netherlands frequently cross between Germany and Belgium. You know that there are train lines connecting European countries to each other, and you can have breakfast in the Netherlands and dinner in Belgium with ease. Also, Dutch people are extremely open-minded and relaxed people. So, if you are going to the Netherlands for the first time, if you see shops called coffee shop, don't think of it as a normal cafe, because the scene you will encounter inside can shock you. Of course, you hear the phrase land of freedoms a lot for the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, from freedom of expression to clothing, or to the marriage of homosexuals, there is almost no limit to anything you can think of. Also, keep in mind for shops, they don't use credit cards much. Especially in shops outside of Amsterdam, it is essential to have cash with you, friends. I think Dutch people are not only fond of their comfort, but also consist of very strong people in terms of will and education. Before going into the details of life in the Netherlands, I can say this for sure. Almost no one who goes to the Netherlands regrets it. Therefore, if you have foreign ideals, you can put the Netherlands at the top of your list without hesitation, because the Netherlands has managed to please almost everyone, both in terms of being in a safe geography and in terms of quality of life. Maybe the weather can upset you a little in terms of climate. However, in terms of oxygen abundance, the Netherlands is again one of the countries with the cleanest air in the world. So let's talk about the Netherlands with all its positive and negative aspects. Thus, you can decide for yourself whether life in the Netherlands is logical for you. To start with the positive aspects of the country, a person who gets a job in the Netherlands does not worry about whether they will be fired in a few months, because the Netherlands has a stable economy. No matter what, if you do your job well, if you take care of your bread, you don't easily become unemployed after finding a job in the Netherlands, friends. That is, let's say you got a job at a company. The company doesn't undergo downsizing and lay off workers before you complete your first year. Or the company doesn't victimize its workers by saying, "Our costs have increased, we are making losses." This situation is perhaps one of the most positive facts about the Netherlands. Once people get a job, they can make plans according to their income without fear. If they are going to buy a car or furnish their house, they don't think what will happen in 8 months. When people enter the market, they don't make calculations like, should I buy this? Should I scold the child for their milk and diapers? Or should I not buy meat this month and pay my rent comfortably, friends? Whether you are a garbage collector or a paper collector, you cannot find a person who works in the Netherlands and starves. Also, very strict crimes are more frequently committed in places like America. The Netherlands, on the other hand, is one of the safest and most orderly places in Europe in terms of security. Therefore, even if you don't have a car at the beginning in the Netherlands, transportation is never a torment. If you want to relax, if you like calmness, if you don't want to see people at every corner, the Netherlands has a great advantage in this sense. Therefore, one of the main reasons for the high welfare in European countries is the low population. Friends, European families have 1 or 2 children. What happens this time? That family can offer their children a better quality of life. They can provide their children with the best clothes, the best education, and the best activities. Those children are well educated from an early age, and when they grow up, they mix into life as useful and equipped people who are beneficial to their country. This way, the country is not suffocated by crowds of people. That is, those who govern the state don't have to rack their brains thinking about how to solve the traffic problem. Or the state's police don't say, "How will we catch up with so much crime?" This also reduces unemployment. Since a person who finds a job won't go and steal, crime rates automatically decrease. Also, if a country has a low population, it doesn't grease the bread of company owners and bosses. Because when the population is high, the value given to people decreases. That is, in the Netherlands, the worker doesn't need the boss needs the worker. My friends, in a job with insurance, no one can force you to work more than 8 hours a day and 40 hours a week. If you rarely need to take overtime, they reflect this in your salary. Also, last year, the number of unemployed people in the Netherlands was lower than the number of job postings. For example, you studied accounting, but you don't want to do your job and you want to turn to another field. You can easily find a job in the field you want to turn to. People don't have to choose their professions according to the country's needs. People are not in the mindset of, "I'll do any job as long as I have a job." That is, the Dutch people don't have to endure a job they don't want to do to make a living. Therefore, in the Netherlands, there are many alternatives in terms of the job sector, and it is possible to find a job in almost every field. Friends, there is another great aspect of the Netherlands regarding the job situation. If you have arranged a job in the Netherlands, that is, if a company has sponsored you, the Dutch government exempts 30% of the money you will earn there from tax. Also, everyone who works in a job with insurance in the country has 28 days of leave per year. Another issue is that in the Netherlands, the purchasing power for basic living materials, especially meat and dairy products, is very good, friends. People can get food from any market they want without looking for any cheap brands, no matter what job they do. There is one more thing that you might think I am exaggerating. The taste of produce such as tomatoes and cucumbers, even dairy products, can really be another kind of beautiful to you in the Netherlands. Research has also proven that the nutritional value of food produced in the Netherlands is very high. They do agriculture with high technologies in a quality way, and therefore the taste of the products they produce is really very beautiful. This may seem like a small detail. However, when you reach a quality product with high purchasing power and experience it, you feel extremely happy as a person. Therefore, reaching quality, delicious food allows you to have a happier and more productive daily life. On the other hand, another of the most beautiful aspects of the Netherlands is that the living spaces in the cities are not made randomly. For example, you have a child and you want to take your child out for some air. Take them to the park and let them play a little. Or you are going to take a walk and you are looking for a green area. There is a green area and a park right next to almost every house in the Netherlands. People don't get stuck in a single fixed green area in the city center to reach clean areas. In any city in the Netherlands, you don't have to wait in line to put your child on a swing. Nor do you have to be exposed to crowds to get clean air. Because there are parks almost everywhere in the cities of the country, and reaching these areas takes a short time even by walking. Therefore, the Netherlands is a country that respects nature very much in terms of green spaces. Similarly, houses are arranged regularly, and you don't see indents, protrusions, or narrow roads between buildings. The fact that the cities in the Netherlands attract people architecturally and that those architectures are arranged within a certain order naturally makes every corner of the country a place to take photos. Speaking of order, there is an extensive bicycle network in the Netherlands that you can use to travel the entire country by bicycle. No matter which city you live in, there are bicycle lanes on the streets and people use bicycles even more than you think. There is another issue that may come to your mind when you go to the Netherlands, and that is the language. As you know, the main language of the Netherlands is Flemish, not English. However, in order to work in a skilled or unskilled job in the Netherlands, to establish intimacy with people, to blend into life, you don't necessarily have to speak the native language of the Dutch. Remember, German was a must after a point in Germany. Similarly, it is necessary for you to know French for most situations in France. However, With good English in the Netherlands, you can easily blend into society and find a job related to your profession, my friends. Because almost everyone from the police to the barber speaks English in the Netherlands. Let's talk a little about the negative aspects of the Netherlands. Although the air in the Netherlands is of high quality in terms of oxygen, it can rain not only in winter, but all summer. Since the weather is usually cloudy, people cannot make plans and go out on holidays. When they make a plan to meet outside, they can be caught off guard by sudden rain. For this reason, the streets of the Netherlands are generally not very crowded. People close themselves in their homes thinking that it may rain at any moment. Another issue is that you cannot find skilled craftsmen for your living space, your garden, or an item you're thinking of buying in the Netherlands. For example, you bought an item from a furniture store. The furniture store can charge extra for delivery. If you don't want to pay this money, they reply that you should take it yourself. Or if your roof leaks, your water pipe bursts, or the fences in your garden break down at an unexpected moment in your house, you cannot find and bring a quality craftsman by phone. People in the Netherlands are generally focused on standard jobs, and therefore it can be quite difficult to find a good craftsman who can do repair-type side jobs. For this reason, people try to solve the problems they experience in their homes on their own by watching videos from places like YouTube. Or let's say you work in a factory in the Netherlands and you work in 2 shifts. A person who leaves work around 10 to 11 at night may not be able to find public transportation. Especially in smaller cities outside of Amsterdam, you can experience serious problems with transportation hours. Also, no matter how short the distance you are going, transportation costs in the Netherlands burn your pockets a little, because you may have to pay a transportation fee of 4 to 5 euros for ordinary public transportation. That's why people find transportation by bicycle logical and turn to bicycles. Also, I mentioned how much the Netherlands values the environment and nature, and that there are green spaces everywhere. This situation can also have negative aspects for you, because there are tremendous amounts of small animals, such as flies, insects, and spiders in the Netherlands. Municipalities do not provide fly and insect spraying services to keep these creatures away from people. Therefore, when you go to the Netherlands, you need to adapt and get used to the other side of nature life. Because the Dutch society accepts animals as a part of nature and does not do anything that will separate animals from life. Or you have rented a house with a garden in the Netherlands and you said, let's enjoy the garden with the family. People in the garden of the house next door can have a marijuana party. That is, when you go to the Netherlands, the possibility of your next door neighbor being a gay or trans couple or a person addicted to marijuana is very, very high, my friends. When you go with your family, will you be able to tolerate this situation? You need to ask yourself this question. E-house rents in the Netherlands have also increased tremendously. Especially if you're going to be in Amsterdam and its surroundings, the rent for a 2+1 house varies between 1,500 and 2,000 euros. For electricity and natural gas, there are distribution companies in the Netherlands that have agreements with fixed quotas. If you make an agreement with these companies for electricity and natural gas and exceed the quota, you pay more. For example, a family of 3 pays an average of 130 to 140 euros per month for electricity and natural gas to the company they have agreed with. Similarly, your internet and water bill is 80 euros in total. In order to benefit from health services in the Netherlands, you need to have compulsory health insurance. Monthly compulsory health insurance is also that expensive, around 100 euros. If a family of 2 eats out once a week and eats at home otherwise, a monthly expense table of more than 2,500 euros emerges with all expenses. The minimum wage in the Netherlands is around 1750 euros gross. Of course, all these expenses arise when you think that you live a life with 4 square opportunities without cutting back on food or drink and live in beautiful houses. Therefore, for a family to live comfortably in the Netherlands, it is sufficient for them to earn more than the minimum wage, or for 2 people from the same house to work. In this case, a family can easily make a living, even buy a car, and go on vacation to another country. Don't forget to like our Netherlands video and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.